and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the one who has lived a full life.
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of Your Best Life. And if you're curious about our two-player perspective and accessibility, check out our other video, Rolling with Two, Your Best Life. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. Your Best Life is a flip and write game where players can play as couples or singles. Each turn, players choose cards with actions and mark those actions on their individual or family sheets in order to live the most successful life. Whoever has the most points at the end of 10 rounds wins. All right, Will, so why did we get this?
We saw a video where Rahdo covered it, thought it looked fantastic, then had the...
Well, specifically what caught our eye was that you could play it as a couple or a single.
Right.
In the same game.
In the same game. So, yeah, that
was novel.
That was novel. And of course, you know, it was a flip and write, which...
Yeah, we tend to like.
We like those. But we had a devil of a time trying to find it.
Yeah, couldn't find it. People just weren't carrying it.
Yes. So we finally found it off of Game Nerds and locked it in with a pre-order. So it took months before it got shipped out. But we finally got it.
Finally got it, and here we are.
Yes.
So what do we like about it?
Well, the narrative is pretty slick.
Yes.
We do have other games that are like this where it's the life sim, but having it in this flip and write format is really nice.
Yes.
Because it's a format that we really dig.
Yeah. So the mechanisms married with the theme gives us a new way to experience a theme that we generally have enjoyed.
Yes. I'm also very impressed with the math behind this. Now, I love it and I hate it. I love it in the fact that they did all the work to make it possible for us to play singles and couples even at the same time.
Right.
So that we can even play singles or couples in a cooperative.
Yeah, as a two-player.
As a two-player.
Yeah.
Math is fantastic. The rules, on the other hand, not so much. So it's hard to get the math right.
Yes.
That's what bothers me. Like, okay, this is a single. I need to remember to multiply by 2 here. These numbers are different in a cooperative. I need to remember that when joy happens on the stress track, it's different than the singles track. And then this bonus only happens when both of us meet. And just making sure that all those numbers are correct and that we're looking at the right ones. Because like when you're filling out a track, it's not cumulative.
Right.
It's whatever the farthest
highest,
one you reach.
Yeah, the farthest number, yeah.
And we mess that up. And then, of course, they throw in terms like, well, multiply this with the highest non-negative number. Like, these things don't even have negative numbers.
Yes.
What's going on?
So
and Sarah says, it's data entry stuff. You wouldn't understand. And I'm like, you're right, I don't.
And it doesn't belong in a board game.
It doesn't belong in here. Where's my spreadsheets?
But besides that, we'll get more into what we don't like in a second. We're focusing more on what we do like right now.
It's brilliantly put together if you manage to follow the instructions.
Right. We really enjoy it. For us, we at the end of the game like to look back over our sheets and kind of see the story that has evolved, kind of like you think about it, this is our childhood, the early rounds, and then, as young adults, and then midlife and so on. So like one game I had really terrible, childhood. I was really stressed out. So I'm like, oh, I had an unhappy childhood. But look, as an adult, I bought a car or something like that. So.
Yeah. And if you want to further role play into that, it even has little invitation cards that you can put out there so that like, aha, Sarah, I cordially invite you to the birth of my new child. And you're like, who'd you have a kid with? Yoink.
But yeah, so there is in the back, like it gives you prompts of when something happens, like when you go on a vacation, describe your vacation. When you post to social media, describe what your post is, and
buy a new house,
talk to people and things like that. And actually we did find that during the part where you're selecting which action card you want to go on, there were points where, like, especially vacations, because vacations take 2 money, and that can be hard to get sometimes in one action, but you can go with someone else, not necessarily in your couple, with anybody. So it gives you that opportunity to talk to other players and be like, hey, if you go on this card with me, not only do we get this extra little bonus, but we could go on a vacation together and we both get benefits. So it was interesting that in a competitive game, or if you're playing it cooperatively, you have these moments of cooperation.
Yeah, it's almost like negotiation.
Right. But in a positive negotiation.
With it having no downside.
Right. It's positive negotiation, not you're going to do this thing with me or you're going to regret it because I'm going to do something bad to you later.
I will bomb you.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, and we really like that there are challenging decisions that you make every step of the way, because there's so much you can do, and you will never do all of it because you can't. There's so much to do in life. You can't do everything. So you have to really decide, is this going to be the best thing for me to do right now? What are my goals? What do I want to accomplish? And trying sometimes to keep that in mind can be challenging, but a good challenging, like it really gets you invested in the game. I think that covers
what we like.
What we like.
Okay.
What we don't like. So going back to what Will was talking about, the rules. Rules are not very good.
Yeah, there are certain sections of the board that it just assumes I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't talk about all the sections. There's a lot of nuances on whether you're playing singles or couples. And while the concept is great that you can play a competitive game with 5 players and 3 people are playing singles and then 2 people are playing as a couple, but the problem is every step of the way, the same icons have to be interpreted in 2 different ways, depending on whether you're playing as a single or as a couple.
Yeah.
And then if you're trying to learn in back-to-back games how to play one way and then the other, it can get very confusing. So it's almost like you wish they had 2 versions of the rules, but then not enough things are different. It's all these little minor things, but they add up.
Yes. And we've looked at other people's scores and it's like, I'm not sure they scored right. Or they probably missed out on their free bonus action when they were taking turns, which is why they're... we did that. We did it for one entire game until we got to it and like, why are these numbers so... wasn't there a bonus action?
We forgot.
Yeah.
But you do the bonus action different.
It came down to you had saw someone on the forum and you're like, what in the world are they talking about a bonus action? I go, we're supposed to have a bonus action, aren't we?
Right. Because you resolve it differently as whether you're a single or as a couple.
Yes.
And that can, again, just be confusing. There's just a lot of little things that are very easy to forget.
Yes.
In this thing. Let me see. A small potential colorblind issue. Well, it actually could be a major issue if you do have this. There's blue or purple background of some icons, depending on whether you get the effect once or twice. But then also, if it's a purple background, which is when you're supposed to get it twice. If you're playing as a single, you do get it twice. But if you're playing as a couple, then the other person gets it as well. But each person only gets it once. So again, rules, nuances. But the fact that they used blue and purple, which, well, are very similar colors, and there's nothing else that identifies them differently.
Right. Other than that background.
Right. But these are printed on these dry erase sheets, so they're always in the same spot. So if you are having trouble, hopefully you can find someone to at least help you mark. You might want to find a permanent marker and just put a little circle or something next to the purple ones, because there's fewer purple ones. More of them are going to be blue.
Or write in a little X2.
Yeah, or write it ×2, which honestly, I'm surprised they didn't just do that from the beginning. But whatever.
Yeah. Well, because remember, based on whether you're playing single or couple, it's different.
But they still could have done ×2, because if you play a single, you get it twice. But if you're playing as a couple, then oh, I see what you're saying.
See?
Yeah. Nuances.
Yes.
The other thing is so most of the things in the game are very positive. Positive reinforcement of you do this, you get these benefits. People go together, they get these benefits. However, there's something called a shared goal, which is just pure negative. And it's if you don't complete this thing by the end of the game, you lose points. One, it's called a shared goal. It doesn't feel like that at all.
Right.
If you're going to go thematically, it feels more like societal pressure.
Yeah.
Societal pressure is, if you don't do this thing, people will be disappointed. Like, you didn't go get that. You're not a doctor. Your parents are disappointed in you. You didn't
have a big family.
You didn't get a big house. You're not driving a fancy car. Oh, you're not wearing the fanciest clothes. So it feels more like, if they were going to do it thematically, it's called the wrong thing. But the other thing, it just feels like a really weird choice.
I think it's one of the mechanical choices where they put it in your way as a major obstacle, forcing players to explore different aspects of
Right.
life. So I understand why it's in there. It just feels, like Sarah said, completely mislabeled.
Right. And again, there's so many positive things in the game. I personally would have preferred that complete this track and gain 10 points. Most people would probably try to pursue that and feel good about it. It's like, I achieved this goal.
Yeah.
My parents wanted me to be a doctor, and I wanted to be a doctor too, and I achieved it. Not this terrible negative thing.
You didn't do it, so I'm going to hit you.
Right, because if you complete it,
Nothing.
you get nothing from that card.
Yes,
You
except no negative.
Right, you get the no negative. It just doesn't feel
I won't beat you for now.
right. It's like you avoided getting kneecapped or something. I was just like, what? Okay. Then lastly, what we really don't like about this game is it's just so hard to find. It's by WizKids, but they're like not really supporting it, or oh yeah, it's like,
Don't tell nobody.
Don't tell nobody about. So all I can hope is that our video and other people's videos will bring it more into light, because it is a really neat and interesting game.
It's called Your Best Life, not Their Best Life. So they shouldn't know about it. Clearly.
All right, let's move on to who this is for.
Yes, who is this for?
I think it's going to be for those who want a complex flip and write, because for us at least, the flip and writes that Sans Hadrian's Wall, but most of the other ones have been on the lighter scale for flip and writes.
Three Sisters.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess there's more of them now.
Yeah, they're coming into their own.
Right. So this is kind of on that scale. And I think this would be comparable to Three Sisters, actually. For
I think
heaviness.
Three Sisters is a little more difficult than this.
Yeah, I guess I can see that.
What makes this a little bit more difficult is the unclarity of the rules.
That's not a good...
No, that's not
good
not
difficulty.
Yeah.
And again, for those who want to experience something novel, I think if you want to teach this to, God, I can't find the words, not as experienced gamers, it's going to have to be taught by somebody who really understands the game already.
Yeah.
So if you're the library owner for your friend group, buy it, learn it, and then teach it. And I think that's why you could get less experienced gamers. But I think for less experienced gamers to learn it on their own, this is going to be really challenging.
Yeah, the reason why this would make a fantastic game for those who aren't very experienced gamers is because as the more experienced person is teaching them, this has a lot of elements that are very relevant to just people in general, because it's about living life.
Yeah.
So that they can use terms that aren't board game related, where, like, for example, if you try to teach someone a trick-taking game, well, you have to trump the trick to get the trick. And I'm like, huh? What?
You can tell we don't really like trick-taking games.
But it has its own lingo.
Yeah, it has its own language.
Its own jargon.
Yes.
This, you can actually use terms, phrases, and things that anyone can understand.
Right. They did keep the concepts, well, real world.
Yeah. And like, well, you're going to spend time to either work on your career, you're going to spend time to work on your business, or you're going to spend time to buy a pet or raise a child. Where do you want to spend your time?
Right.
You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I'll do here. Okay.
All right, let's move on to our ratings.
All right, for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, add them together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did your best life roll for you?
It rolled a 5. I really enjoyed this game. Getting through the rules was challenging, but I think going forward, I'm going to 100% for Will and I play it as a couple. I really enjoyed that experience. It gave me what I wanted. And then whenever we're able to play it with more people, I'm still going to want to play it as a couple in a competitive game. And that's what drew me to this game in the first place, is that novel experience of Will and I can play together and really enjoy something that's not overly complex, like a lot of cooperative
Pursuit
games.
of Happiness was that game, but
Yes.
it took tons of setup,
Right.
lots of board game
Well, and it's only
space,
competitive.
and it was only competitive.
Right. So, so yeah, this just really gives me that experience that I want. And I think I would have rated it a 6 if the rules had been clearer, because that is still going to be an obstacle for a lot of people. I think it's still worth trying to get the game, which is why I'm rating it a 5. But that's just where I ding it.
Yes. So my highest non-negative number rating that I give it is also a 5.
Yeah.
I completely agree with Sarah. It's a fantastic game. Great on a whole bunch of counts. It's just the rules and the nuances really took some challenging steps to try to overcome. We played it 3 times, and it was only the third game that I was pretty sure we did it correctly.
We pretty much had to scrap the second game because we forgot to do the extra action. And I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, and then the first game we did wrong because we cumulatively scored.
That's right. But at least we were
rows.
consistent for both of us.
Right.
And we still didn't score high enough on that stupid chart.
But that was the learning game too.
No, that's true.
So,
Yeah,
third game in, I'm pretty sure we got it right.
hope so.
Yes. But 10 out of 12, pretty good for a game that's
Yes.
fairly affordable. I think it's like a $30 game.
I want to say it was 30 or 35. I want to say
Yeah.
it was around that.
But you got a lot of dry erase boards,
Right.
pins, cards.
And I think it plays up to 8, which I think this would work because almost
Yeah.
everything's done simultaneously.
Yes.
So,
But I definitely recommend it at a 2-player
yes, definitely.
because it has so much variety.
Agreed.
All right, and that'll
Right.
do it for us. And Sarah,
Yes.
tell me about your best life.
My best life was not exactly in this game, though.
There was one I was like a single person. I just had like a passel of kids.
Yes, you did. You were just like, I'm having kids. I think that was the game where I just couldn't get anything going for me. So I had like a terrible childhood and a really rough young adult life. And I was slowly eking it out at the end.
And you went on vacation with me, and then I'm
Yes.
like, hey, you gonna like my post? And you're like, nah.
And I should have liked your post because that would have been a game changer for me.
There you go.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
And we've been Rolling,
Rolling
with,
with
reviews.
Reviews.
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2, that's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.